So I'd like to do a quick video on what I'm spinning lately. This is the series where I just talk about kind of the spinners I've been using. These aren't necessarily the best or the most expensive or the most affordable or anything like that. Just my personal preference based on what I grab every day. And you could take that as being completely insignificant or being an interesting data point. Up to you. First off, we have the mini boomerang from 2R Designs. This is one I've slightly customized. I bought it used. I cleaned it up really well. I changed out the stock bearing for a Bronson Speedco raw bearing. And now I'm left with one of my favorite spinners. Just a nice 608 mini boomerang in brass with these brass buttons. I'd like to replace these brass buttons with something nicer, but these actually do the job fairly well, and they keep this spinner from being something that I have to really worry too much about or baby or anything like that, because all in, this thing only cost me about under $35 with the bearing and all that, so that's pretty nice, and these things are getting hard to find, so I appreciate that I picked this up, and I actually do enjoy it. I didn't buy it for the rarity. In fact, I bought it before anyone really cared about these mini boomerangs much. So yeah, using this guy a lot. Next up, this I recently acquired a Yardworks Dab Raw. These things are super tough to get your hands on lately, so I was glad to pick this one up. If you've been following my videos, you'll know I had a Raw. I converted it to an R188. Which I thought was clever at the time, but I soon regretted, and then I ended up giving it to a buddy, so you know, no big deal there. I was glad to put it in someone's hands because this guy loved the spinner, but on the flip side, I had no Raw and no way to get one, but I recently picked this one used, got a really good deal on it, so very happy about that. This Raw steel dab is actually just a super fun spinner, and I think, as you guys know, or will know soon, I'm partial to this bearing, the Bronson Speedco Raw 608. So it's nice to have one of these in original form, because it really is a great spinner. Next up, this is a brass body, brass weight Axis Micro. So I had a steel Axis Micro, and I thought it was fine. It was actually pretty expensive, and it was interesting, but I didn't love it. So I got a chance to pick this up. This is the C stock. You can see it's a little bit scuffed up, but you know, it was way cheaper than the standard steel. So I gave it a shot. I picked it up, and it's just an interesting spinner. I'm not sure I would recommend people go ahead and go out and buy an Axis Micro, but I did convert this one to a Bronson Speedco once again. I get that 608 bearing in there, and I like the brass. Plus it looks cool. I don't carry this one a lot. This is kind of one I just tend to use at the desk, just because it's a little bit bigger, a little bit heavier, and definitely a little bit more expensive. But I have been spinning this one a lot, trying to really nail down if it's something I want to hold on to long term or something I want to get rid of. But yeah, so that's the brass Axis Micro with the Speedco bearing, the raw bearing again. Very interesting spinner. I'm glad I have it. I've been using it a lot, but not sure about its long-term prospects for my collection. Lastly, this is the brass torque bar. Like out of every spinner I have, this is probably the one I've used the most. It's the one I've had the longest, and I kind of switch it up. Some weeks I feel more partial to the titanium, some weeks I use the copper, but lately it's been the brass. Just a great spinner. I love to throw this one in my pocket. I've had it long enough that I don't really feel like I need to baby it too much, and you can see it's got a little scratched up just from being in my pocket. But also prices of these are leveling off, so I don't have to feel so bad about it. You know, these things on the second market were so expensive that even though I didn't pay that much for it, I was like afraid to use it, which is crazy. Because I knew if I ever had to replace it, it would cost me multiple hundreds of dollars. But now that these things are, the Brass Talk bars are readily available, and they're expensive, but they're not, insanely expensive anymore. I feel like I could use it again. And that's just like, maybe that's just me being a little bit neurotic, but I'm glad to have this one back in my everyday carry again. Throw it on my keys sometimes, or just throw it in my pocket. Just a nice spinner to have. So yeah, this is what I'm spinning lately. Obviously I have other spinners in my collection, but when I grab a spinner to at my desk, or to go out for a walk or whatever, these are the ones I'm grabbing lately. So let me know in the comments below kind of what you're grabbing. It doesn't have to be your best or your favorite or your most expensive or your rarest, just the one that you find yourself gravitating towards. Thanks for watching.